All right, let's do this thing. This is Saturday. Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome back to That Damn Billy. I'm That Damn Billy, and we're here at Casa McMo, just me and the cats. You know, I do have some new subscribers. Thank you very much, and I encourage you to please, you know, like me, subscribe, dislike, leave a comment, please. You know. But getting back to what originally was my impetus for doing this, I'm calling it a vlog, is that I just had stories I wanted to tell. You know, I grew up in a small town called Newcastle, Pennsylvania. I was born in 1957, and within that I grew up in a neighborhood called Croton. And it was a pretty unique place, and I'm going to try not to ramble and get off track, so let me just kind of get through with this. I kind of have a few notes. But anyway, I started this, I call it a vlog, because everybody always says you should write a book. Writing is extremely tedious. Plus, I am not a fiction writer. These are memoirs. These are stories of people that I knew, people that I've known, you know, from my childhood and whatnot. And I wish I could tell them all. But I would never compromise someone's privacy. You know, I grew up in a time when things were different. We spoke differently. Our vernacular was different. My mother was 45 when Dr. French told her that she was pregnant. Well, she was almost 45 when he told her she was pregnant for me. And I can tell you that Down syndrome was not the term he used. Okay, so, you know, I have to be careful about what I say because I want to tell my story. I have no desire to rewrite the truth through political correctness, but I want to respect the sensibilities and the decency and dignity of those involved. So, you know, I am careful about telling a lot of the stories. You know, I mean, I think about, you know, I grew up where there was like, there was Crazy Larry, and there was the Green Man, and there was Harry the Hermit, and, you know, people had these names and they lived up to them, but today they seem relatively cruel, you know, or, well, they're not real polite. So, you know, you had the story of the lady who carried around the package for 25 years that she had been preparing to send to her son during World War II when she found out that he was killed. I mean, these stories are real stories, but they have people attached, and they have people with feelings and real people. And even though the people may be long dead, I have no desire to really cap on this stuff or make fun of it or anything like that. So if I just tell these stories, it is my attempt to tell them in a generic way. And if it is something too sensitive, or I think that, you know, I just won't, I really will not tell it, or I'll try to contextualize it, because some of them carry a really good message. And and that's why this was originally, I was going to call this show At the Sink, because my mother, like most mothers of that era, even though my mother had a business and whatnot, she spent unbelievable hours standing at the sink, particularly when I was by the time I was 14, her and my parents retired. They closed their grocery store and retired, and she just spent the day at the sink, peeling vegetables and humming. And I used to wonder what's going through her mind, you know. And then when she was 92, you know, I had to stop and think of what all she had seen. So these stories are really about, this is a tribute to my mother and standing at the sink, and what was she thinking about, and what was she talking about. And so, you know, and I have a couple of notes here. Oh, and as I was starting to say, these stories, like, okay, when you come from a small town, people think it's like this Norman Rockwell thing. And trust me, it's much more Norman Bates than it is Norman Rockwell. It's freaky. And every story, there's always a backstory. Nobody just is. There's always a reason for their being. For example, one may have had an uncle who passed away at the age of 42 or 43. And when one questioned their aunts, why did Uncle John pass away so young, your aunt would tell you, he died from arthritis. And you would say to your aunt, really? I did not know one could die from arthritis. How did he die from arthritis? Well, it caused cirrhosis of the liver. I had no idea that arthritis could lead to cirrhosis of the liver. Well, he drank for the pain. So the bottom line is, it's not just that Uncle John was an alcoholic. There's always a backstory. There's always a reason. You know, the things to make, you know, just much like saying that somebody accidentally took too much medication as opposed to they took their own life. You know, and I don't want to violate anybody. I really, really don't. And growing up as I did, my mother and my parents being in business, I knew a lot of the backstories, but I also knew that they were not to be told. My mother, when I think of some of the things she probably knew, but she really didn't gossip, you know, and she went to her deathbed with a couple of things that she assumed I knew, and I never, and like, you know, because one time she, oh, I can't believe you think that he had the same father as the rest of those kids, and she says, you can't, just looking at him, can't you tell? And I still don't know who she was talking about, and it's just killing me. But so anyway, that's what this is about. This is about telling stories and having fun. And let me see if I have any other notes here to cover today. We talked about, yeah, you know, I grew up feeling like an outsider. I didn't feel like I fit in. And if you don't feel like you're fit in, nobody trying to make you feel part of is going to help. It starts from within. You know, I felt ugly, therefore I was ugly. You weren't going to convince me otherwise. And, you know, and in so, being an outsider and an alien, you can get very bitter and you can get very cynical, or you can just observe and try to be non-judgmental. And I was very bitter and very cynical for many, many, many years. Then I realized what a gift I had been given to have just kind of like been on the fringe, because it allowed me to observe things and better know myself. It wasn't about criticizing these people. You have to suspend that judgment and let go of the cynicism and realize that, wow, if you spot it, you got it. You know, so this is like, you know, I guess I wanted to say, you know, as long as you yourself are feeling bad about yourself or feeling ugly, there's just no amount of validation. So I'm not here to have my ego stroked. By the time I was, thankfully to my late husband, by the time I hit about 48, I finally was able to let go of the feelings of extreme ugliness, and I owe him for that, you know. But anyway, so that's it for today, and I'm sorry to ramble on so long, but I don't know how to edit this stuff. And please like me, subscribe, share, because we're gonna have some fun stories to tell. And once I found out that arthritis was almost endemic in my family, but I haven't had a drink in years. But you know, I could go from 0 to Irish pretty quick. All right, love y'all. Be good. Bye.